Hi, hello, and welcome everyone to the Q1 2025 What's New in Cumulocity presentation. My name is Alex Grum, Senior Product Marketing Manager for Cumulocity. Very excited to have so many people on with us today. A couple of quick housekeeping items, and then I'll turn it over to our PM team to walk through. We have a number of PMs presenting today, going through updates to their sections of responsibility for Cumulocity. But as we go through, that we will have breaks for questions within each section. So as you have questions coming up, you can feel free to type those into the chat, and we'll address them. You can also raise your hand. And then you'll be invited on camera to ask your question verbally, which might be better if it's a more complicated question that might require a little back and forth. So please consider that option as you're thinking about your questions that you might have. Also, at the end of the session, we will have just a brief survey. We're obviously going to continue to do these webinars on a regular basis, on a quarterly basis, and we want to make sure they're as valuable and impactful for you as possible. So any feedback you have, we'd really appreciate if you can stay on an extra minute or two and complete that survey right at the end of the session. All right, so without further ado, I'll turn things over to Senior Director of Product Management for Cumulocity, Nicholas Neuberg. So Nico, go ahead, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Alex. So I just wanted to very briefly explain what to expect from this webinar, because it's the first time we actually do it. In the past, we always published what's new trainings on a quarterly basis on YouTube, and I believe some of you have seen them. But actually, this idea comes from one of our customers, Vika. Frank, I think, is also in the audience. We had a discussion on how can we actually better share what's happening in the product together with, and this is the keyword here, all our Cumulocity product experts. So like really people who are very actively working with Cumulocity and know Cumulocity quite well and want to basically get this information, what is happening in the product, and directly learn also from the product experts. What's not just what has been delivered in the last quarter, that's one important aspect, but also get some insights on what are we working on. So some of the product managers will also share today important items that the team is working on, as well as be open to questions. So after each section, feel free to ask questions, and we will pause after each part of the different product areas a few minutes to address the questions and potentially also pull you on stage so that we can have a dialogue. So how do we plan to conduct this webinar on a quarterly basis? So expect us to repeat this format again in 3 months' time to learn what's new after Q1 has passed. And we will also publish the recordings on our training portal and our YouTube channel. And all the content will always be delivered then from the product experts. A very few words on the introduction also, because that defines the agenda of today's webinar. So the slide that I'm showing here is the way that we explain our product capabilities these days to Cumulocity. So we have presented this new format of explaining what does Cumulocity actually add, starting from device integration. You can see here, all we do is we connect equipment to your business processes and also business systems. That's really what Cumulocity can do. Connect distributed equipment for many sites effectively. And this, of course, requires, first of all, device integration. And then if you have connected equipment and software running on it, it also requires device management, making sure that the equipment is securely connected. You all know that. And then the most important part, data management, because in the end, you don't care about that you can manage your equipment remotely. You care about what is actually the data that the equipment is reporting and how can you best leverage this data also in my business processes like field service management. Then we have a lot of tooling to help you build applications on top, access the data and interact with your systems. That's application enablement, how we call it. And to close the loop back to the equipment, we also have some analytics capabilities which allow you to operationalize the insight that you gain, so that from whatever insights you derive out of the data, you can actually also change the behavior, because you can actually send also commands, operations to the equipment. And With Cumulocity, we also have a lot of emphasis on what we call platform management. So the non-functional part around our IoT platform. Security is a very important one. Also the notion of multi-tenancy, so you can actually segregate your data securely across tenants. And then, of course, the deployment, not just as software as a service solution managed by us in the cloud, but you can also deploy Cumulocity on your edge infrastructure. And this is the wheel I just explained. This is also what drives today the agenda. So Aaron and Ruben will give an update on Synedge for device integration, and Aaron about device management. Jane will give you some news on the data management area. Nick will share some highlights on what happened in the analytics area. Rahul will continue with application enablement, and then together with Nick speak a bit about improvements to the developer experience. One last word for me. What I wanted to highlight is we also did a lot of work on our documentation because we got a lot of feedback on that. You see the new look and feel, some additional links, also the high-level capabilities that I explained. That is also something that which we used to update our introduction to the Cumulocity platform. So especially if you have a colleague who wants to, on a technical basis, to understand what Cumulocity IoT is about, have a look into the new platform introduction. This should be a very good overview about the capabilities that Cumulocity IoT has and can help you with. And then last but not least, we also consolidated all our service terms. So the support and product SLAs, our compatibility policy, our release and preview policy, our service quotas, and accessibility in one area in the documentation, which is the area service terms. So before this was with Software AG spread it across a lot of different places, and now also being an own company, we take this opportunity to make many things much easier for you. So also here, any feedback is appreciated. One last thing on the changelog, because there were a lot of questions from you, especially with regards to, hey, I have here a changelog entry, and I'm building my own application on top of Cumulocity. So how do I know, especially for UI changes, whether this change is already in the Web SDK version that I use? At the moment, there's one trick you can use, which is this internal equals true flag, which you can use the barcode to get that link directly, which shows you for each changelog entry the component or the build artifact for which this is delivered and the component version. At the moment, it's a bit hidden because we believe that this information can also irritate people, but we acknowledge that this is important for you. And we're also thinking about how to, whether to publish that to all our users, but just that you know, especially in this forum for people building on top of Cumulocity, and if you need to know if my version is already, which is the SDK version where this change has been introduced, you can find this out by setting this internal equals to flag. And with that said, sorry, one last word. We also changed our feedback portal, and Aaron, who just came on stage and now is continuing with the device management presentation, was the one who was leading that. You might have known AHA in the past. We have now switched everything to Jira to make it also easier for you to have support tickets and product feedback in one place. So check out our feedback portal. Share your product ideas with us, either through the portal or directly approaching us as product managers for the different product teams. That's important to us. Just that you're aware that the AHA portal changed to the Jira service portal, where we now collect feedback and also provide updates on the feedback that you shared. And with that, I finally hand over now to Aaron, who is going to go over our changes in device management.
Thanks a lot, Nico, and also hello and a warm welcome from my side. And yeah, let's directly start and see what new things there are in device management. 1 second. Yeah, so first thing I want to mention is the improved and unified user experience we introduced for the repositories. So as probably each of you knows, in device management, we have several repositories holding all the different artifacts that you need to deploy them on your device, like software configuration files, firmware versions, but then also the device profiles, that contain a mixture of each of these items. But as deployments become more complex and more items will be added up, it's also becoming more complex to manage those things. So in order to make it easier for you to manage any artifact that you hold in your repository, to easily find everything that you need, we basically now adopted the same component that we also already use in the all device list and in the wizard for the bulk operations, so that you have basically a unified experience across all lists in device management, and can also benefit from improved sort and filtering capabilities, so you can directly find whatever you're looking for. The next thing I want to mention are the configurable log events for Lightweight M2M devices. So if you end up in a situation where one or multiple devices are not behaving as expected, you want to get as much transparency as possible to see what's actually going on. One important thing, particularly for Lightweight M2M devices, is the lifecycle event that we already track automatically to see the communication basically of the device. So we track all registration update events on deregistrations to directly see what's the health status of your device. With the new improvement, we introduced a configuration option for the event logging, allowing you a more detailed logging that also includes information about the traffic, so data being received and sent, as well as firmware information, so about the firmware update process on your device. But you also will have the option to turn off the event logging completely in order to optimize for costs, because they will incur MEAs. So you can also at the same time optimize for your costs. Next thing I'd like to introduce, this more forward-looking thing, but this will be available soon, but also based on MQTT service that will be touched on by Jane later on as well, is the flexible payload decoding for Lightweight M2M. So the problem that I'm not sure if someone from you is not so familiar with Lightweight M2M, benefit of Lightweight M2M that it comes with a standardized data model, which is based on objects and resources. And right now, the mapping is based on individual resources being mapped into the Cumulocity data model. Once you would like to have more complex mappings where you might want to map multiple resources into the data model at once, that becomes quite tricky, which is why we now decided to push data to the MQTT service from the Lightweight M2M agent, allowing you to basically apply any kind of logic that you want for the payload decoding. So you have a much higher degree of flexibility. You can basically fully design or decide on how you want to decode your Lightweight M2M payload. The next item that we have is the software type support for device profiles. So quite some time ago, we already introduced the concept of software types in order to make it easier for you to manage your software, to see, basically to be able to differentiate between different software packages. So that helps quite a bit when you want to deploy certain packages, to see whether it's a container or something else. So you can basically define it however you want, which of course is supported by software, but however not yet supported hasn't been supported by the device profiles. So with that introduction, you can also now see the software type of a software package that's added to your device profile also in the device profile view. But this information will also be sent with each device profile operation. So that also makes it easier for you, for device integrators, to integrate also for the device profile functionality, because you now have a unified behavior across all operations that contain any software exactly. Next thing that's actually quite exciting is the enhanced functionality around managing software on your device. So I already mentioned the more complex workloads that you might want to deploy on your device, and for that we introduced some functionality also already quite some time ago, like the ability to install, reinstall, or update software. However, we currently don't have the chance to, we don't provide the chance for you to interact with already running software. So we enhanced our feature set in a sense that you can now restart, stop, and also pause currently running software or services running on your device, which will also be supported directly by ThinEdge. So we already had discussions around supporting out of the box that functionality by, for example, the container management plugin, but also other functionalities provided by ThinEdge. So we can directly benefit from that functionality without having to implement anything additionally. And you will also have the chance to extend it if needed. And we so you can basically directly access this functionality from the microservice, from the service overview and device management, but also in the detailed view when you go to a specific service, where you also see the different metrics that are provided by the service, but then you also can basically trigger this action from that view as well. And last but not least, we also improved the device map. So we had some limitations regarding that map, for example, that we only were able to list 100 devices, especially with a lot of devices being shown in that map. It also was quite visually overwhelming. And in addition to that, if you have a deployment, for example, in Australia and directly start in Germany, that doesn't make too much sense. So the start view when opening that view might not be aligned with actually your deployment or the location of your deployment, but that's not changed. So we got rid of that 100 device limitation. We make it easier for you to consume what you see here by aggregating multiple devices in just one pin, where you see, okay, X number of devices are in that location, and then you can scroll in and get more details on that. So it makes it easier for you to consume such a view and to basically get an overview of the distribution of your devices. You can also scroll towards west and east more easily, because we also there had some limitations that we now overcame. And last but not least, you can also define the center of your deployment, and basically when opening up your view, you can then directly see your deployment and not have to change or scroll to basically your deployment, and that makes it, I guess, easier for you to use that. So with that, I'm actually already at the end of the device management part. So are there any questions, concerns, regards, comments to that? If not, I'm directly handing over to you, Ruben, to continue with all the cool new things that are added to ThinEdge.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Aaron. Hi, everyone. My name's Ruben Miller. I'm the product owner of ThinEdge. So just maybe if you're not familiar with ThinEdge, just wanted to give a bit of like a catch up, because relatively speaking, we're like the new kid on the block. So you might not know as much about us. So ThinEdge is actually an open source product. So you can download all the source code on GitHub, extend it yourself or whatever. But basically it's a framework which allows you to connect your IoT devices to an IoT cloud. Now I say IoT cloud because we're talking about not just Cumulocity, but also Azure, AWS. It all just works. So it's really a open source community project that we really want to kind of roll out everywhere. So if you're not already using it, I'd encourage you to have a look, and hopefully I can convince you later to have a look. So ThinEdge can basically, it runs on any kind of Linux device. So regardless of the operating system, so we extended part to support every Linux operating system under the sun. And it's important that we reached at the beginning of last year an important milestone to be the production ready status, so the 1.0 kind of release. So you get all of the device management functionality, which Cumulocity supplies all out of the box. So device profiles, firmware, software configuration, you name it, we can do it. And the great thing about if you adopt ThinEdge is, so every quarter we will then, if there's new functionality that Cumulocity delivers, we will implement that for you. So there's really nothing for you to kind of like maintain or less for you to maintain. So you can let us do all the heavy lifting, and then you can still just pay off and then use the nice features. So whether that's, so we support, modeling your devices, child devices, services of the main device or child device, it's all kind of open for you to kind of fit to your business needs. So one of the additional features that we had in Q4 last year is, so we realized with out-of-box functionality, you always reach a limit at some point in time that you're going, well, that's great having out-of-box functionality, but it doesn't fit my use case because I need to have a manual confirmation from my customer before they install software. So ThinEdge has adopted a powerful workflow model that is the extension point, so you can actually add in whatever business logic you want. So that's the underlying kind of like engine behind any of the operation handlers. So we've also extended it to support for custom operations. So let's say in the Cumulocity world, if you create another like do action or something operation in Cumulocity, you can now utilize the powerful workflows to then do whatever kind of state machine processing of that as you please. Now with ThinEdge, we also noticed that we're not the first agent on the block. So existing customers will have existing agents. So for example, if you're using SmartREST 1, you might already have an existing agent. So what we now support is being able to utilize ThinEdge on devices that maybe have a SmartREST 1 interface, but you can still utilize ThinEdge to maybe do your device management and even do your cloud connectivity, because we provide a local Cumulocity proxy interface. So you can just, with very minimal changes to your existing agents, you can reroute to use the cloud connectivity that we provide locally through the proxy method. So you don't need to worry about authentication and anything like that. So it's all available for you to use. And like anything, so not only does ThinEdge want to deliver all these out-of-the-box functionality as well, but we also want to foster a nice community plugin kind of, or a plugin community. So we've done some massive rewrites onto nice kind of like plugins which do container management, which allows you to deploy unit containers or container groups. So i.e. kind of Docker Compose style, or do kind of like Node-RED. So you can even deploy the Node-RED engine via the container network, container plugin, and then also deploy a flow all through Cumulocity. So it also provides a nice, interesting examples that you can also kind of use to understand the concepts of ThinEdge, and then also write your own plugins, and you can even fork the projects and adapt it to your needs, because all of this stuff is open source under a very permissive license, so you're free to use the code as you please. So for the Q4 kind of like features, I just wanted to highlight an extra kind of like feature that we added regarding the connectivity to different clouds. So pretty much from day one, ThinEdge has always had this kind of like cloud agnostic approach. So we allow people to connect to multiple clouds also at the same time. So if you have like a Cumulocity instance and a customer wants to connect to Azure or whatever, you can actually configure two, and you can then map what data you want pushed to what cloud. So we thought, what would be even better than that? So we've implemented a new concept called Cloud Profiles, where you can even use two Cumulocity connections, or 3 or 4 or whatever you want. So you can have 2 parallel Cumulocity connections. Again, you can decide what data goes where. So for instance, you might want to use one tenant for device management, and then another tenant is just for maybe telemetry data. So it's really up to you how to use it, but some of the use cases that came out. So it supports a nice kind of safe, robust way to transfer a device between tenants then, because you can facilitate, you don't want to just cut one tenant before you have a connection to the other tenant. So it enables you to kind of safely connect to a second tenant, validate everything works, then shut the previous tenant connection down. It also supports then, if you want to supply your customers that maybe you want to do like adopt a device as a service kind of model, where you're saying, you know what, we'll sell you a device, we'll take all the device management aspects for you, we'll make sure you get your security updates, we do the firmware updates, whatever. You can use the telemetry data as you please, or deploy your own containers. We don't really mind, and then you can manage it from your own tenant. So we're really excited to see what kind of use cases people come up with to really push the limit there. And one new use case that we were thinking of last week is maybe even using this in like load testing or something. But it just shows you the powerful and simplistic nature of the feature, but it's very extendable. So I mentioned before that ThinEdge is an open source project. So with that, we have an exciting announcement that we're in the process of publishing ThinEdge under the Eclipse Foundation. So we decided to do this to outwardly show our commitment to ThinEdge, that we don't want to then say, okay, we are only implementing stuff for Cumulocity and we're only kind of, always dictating in that direction. We want to go, we want to do things in an agnostic way. And to prove that, we want to then be published under the Eclipse Foundation. So we hope to be done by Q1. So it's a little bit of a lengthy process because they review everything, but that will be our goal. So once we do a release, we're not really finished. We have a whole team behind doing all these new features all the time. So I wanted to give a glimpse into the future. So part of the kind of exciting new features that we want to work on, so there's like two main themes. One is security topics and data, kind of telemetry data, pushing it to the cloud. So with security topics, I mean, security is really important on edge devices. So to better improve that kind of security aspect, we want to then be able to support accessing HSM, so hardware security modules. So you can securely store your private keys, which is used for certificate communication to the clouds, that we don't even have access to the private keys, but we can use it in the connection to the cloud. So we're looking at adopting an interface, which would then cover for TPMs, so TPM 2.0, YubiKeys or anything like that. So a generic interface that we can then, so you can be sure that you don't accidentally expose your private key, so that can be stored securely. So with security stuff, it's also, you need to be able to have that transparency of what happened when and by who, who did this thing. So we're wanting to do on-device auditing. So where we have a track of, when clients connect to the local MQTT broker, when they publish things, when they register child devices, remove child devices, and all these kinds of things. So you have a nice human readable, traceable thing, as well as being, machine parsable. At the moment, all of these things are logged in a very kind of technical log. So it's a little bit hard to kind of see, and it's, lost in between the weeds. So we're hoping we can provide that available. Then with telemetry data, so it's kind of like the same topic. We're looking at both minimizing the bandwidth of the data that is sent from edge devices to the cloud by supporting some kind of aggregation mechanisms, and also looking at making configurable cloud mappers. So if you have, want to connect to a random MQTT broker in the cloud, that you can then use a generic mapper to configure some rules or something to then do the data transformations that you need to then send to your cloud. Now, I just wanted to take a few extra minutes because personally, I don't like just seeing slides and you're going, well, great, you say you're doing all these features, but let me see it working. So let me just share quickly if I can get access to sharing. So with ThinEdge, you might want to explore ThinEdge. And with that, you might want to explore, what device management features does Cumulocity support out of the box. So we've got you covered. So we have a nice demo project. So when I say demo, it's just spawning a container, which is a representative of a device, to then it's running the real ThinEdge, so the production version of ThinEdge, running real plugins. So there's, I would say, barely no mocked data. So I just spawn that up now live, and then I can instantly see. So this is what I see in Cumulocity if I have a ThinEdge device. You can instantly see, it's online, cool. We have, device availability. We even have, part of that to demo, hey, you want to maybe say where it is. So we're using, plugin to show the rough IP. So doing geolocation with the IP. And you can kind of use this to also discover Cumulocity, which is a really great tool. So you can see we have child devices set up, so you can really get a good idea of how the different kind of ways you can deploy ThinEdge in your kind of use case. So we try to give a bit of a smattering of all the features. So whether it's configuration management, firmware is mocked because we're dealing with containers, so there is no like operating system to update because containers are really immutable objects. But you can see services, you can uninstall, install software, device profiles, you can post events. So we have like a default event that we post, say, hey, ThinEdge is running. Log management, so we can always get all the logs available. So all of this is really spun it up in 2 seconds. And then even if you're not familiar with the fantastic remote access feature, allowing you having SSH access to the devices. So everything is out of the box. So great for people like solution architects, or if you're just exploring things and didn't know about all these great features of Cumulocity, everything is available for you there. So hopefully, I've encouraged everyone to have a look now. So we kind of do things a little bit different at ThinEdge. So you can go to our GitHub repository. We have a Discord channel, so you can reach out to us directly. We also have, like, if you need a support contract, we also have a commercial support contract in addition. So if you need that kind of warm, fuzzy feeling, you can get that. But you can also just reach out to, do feature requests, bug requests, bug reports. Everything's available online. So I think that's enough of me talking. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. And if there's no questions, I'll hand over to Jane.
Thank you very much, Ruben.
There have been some questions going back and forth in the chat, Ruben, but then there's one more that maybe we can address from here on. Are there any plans of supporting integrating TPM communication with cloud?
Sorry, your mic's a little bit, the mic quality is a little bit terrible.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Oh, yeah, that's better.
But there's a question in the Q&A from Demir asking, are there any plans of supporting integrating TPM for communication with cloud for components such as Mosquito, HTTPS communication, etc.?
Yeah, so that's exactly in the future roadmap was for that very point. So technically speaking, the interface that we'll support will be the PKCS-11. So that usually then has all of the, so if you have like a YubiKey or something like that, or a TPM 2.0 module, they'll usually have a shared object library, which accesses that PKCS-11 or crypto key interface. So yes, we're very much interested in supporting those because that is used for then the TLS 1.3 certificate signing. So it does like the certificate verify step. Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you, Ruben.
All right, thanks.
Okay, hi everybody. Jane Porter. I'm going to take you through the data management piece. This encompasses also some of the areas around messaging, notification, etc. So the first thing I want to go through is some work that we've been doing on the operational store. As pretty much everybody knows, this is based on MongoDB. And with version 5, they had a new collection type called a time series. So we leveraged that and have created a new data model. And this is being used by some of our larger customers already. And now we've actually finished the work to allow existing customers to start their migration. So why do we want to do this? I think this is quite important, just so that you know, because we're quite excited about this. Effectively, it moves our measurement collection across to a proper time series collection, so we can start doing more things around it in proper time series type approach. It uses less disk space. So those of you that are focused on money, as we all are, you will actually see that you can potentially reduce your bills if you actually move to this new collection. And also, we've seen that it improves query performance. It's not dramatic, but it is good enough to actually warrant a mention. We found that the performance is much more even. We're not seeing spikes up and down on the database. At some point, the legacy collection, that is the measurement collection that most of you will be working on at the moment, will be deprecated and we will remove it. So once we've actually seen enough customers do their migration, we could potentially start migrating some of the customers with smaller collections for them, so that we can actually move everybody off, and then we can remove that legacy collection so that the team doesn't actually have to keep two collections going at one point. So I've included some nice screenshots there of the user interface. We've tried to make this as intuitive and as easy to use as possible. So what I want to do is quickly take you through what we've done in the background. There's a link to the documentation at the bottom there, so you can have a look, and that actually takes you through what we're doing as well. So then, as an administrator, the first thing you need to do is make the decision to do the migration. And as a first step, we would suggest that you do this on your development and or test environments, just in case you're doing something that you find doesn't work as well as you would hope. We don't believe it will. As I said, we've tested this extensively, and we've got some customers with very large collections now running across this new time series collection. So phase 0, we suggest you clean up any unnecessary measurements. This is so that you've got as little data as possible to migrate. Then once you've actually made the decision that you're going to start your migration, you hit the button, and that is oh, sorry, I haven't actually moved my button along. I apologize, folks. There we go. That's better. Once you hit the button, you're here at T. Now, at T, what will happen is you will dual write to two collections. You'll write to the existing collection here and to the new time series collection. And at the same time, what we will start doing is we will start here and we will start writing all of your old data into the new collection. Worth noting that your the data cleanup that you've actually got, where you only keep your data for so long, will also be working backwards from this point. So, you know, hopefully this existing collection right into the time series collection doesn't take too long. It happens in the background anyway. You won't see any difference to the way that your tenant behaves, but the time difference between T and V will be how long it takes us to write that existing collection. So once your existing collection has all been written into the time series collection, you will end up in a situation where you have got all of your data in the time series collection, and you'll also have written to to the existing collection. Now, at this point, you need to start verifying that everything is as it should be. Now, this is really just a case of going through your applications, looking at your dashboards to make sure that all of the data that you're showing is exactly as you would expect it to. There is one thing that we have not yet done, and that is delete by ID. Now, that is because delete by ID requires a single measurement. And of course, the whole point of a time series collection is the fact that you've got a group of measurements. We will be implementing that in the not too distant future, and we'll be delivering it probably Q2 of this year. So once you've verified that all of your applications and your dashboards all work wonderfully, you actually say, yes, I'm all good, and you verify your migration. And at that point, you're all good to go. You will now start writing to the new time series collection. You will see that you won't use quite as much disk space as you used to, and everything else will work exactly as it should do. So at this point, I will pause for any questions on the new time series collection. Silence. Well, if anybody thinks of anything and you want to get in touch with me, please do so. I'm more than happy to have a chat.
It looks like we do have a question. Someone's raised their hand, so I'm going to invite them on stage
Sure.
to ask their question. All right, Robert, can you come off mute and ask your question? Maybe not.
Oh, not letting me speak, exclamation mark. Oh.
Hello?
Yeah, now we can hear.
The one thing that occurs to me, Jane, in all this is
Yes.
they don't confirm that it's all fine.
Well, so if you don't confirm that it's all fine, you're going to be ending up with a double write, and that could get quite expensive.
Yeah. And then between the T, the V, and the C, there's a lot of potential for things not to be right. And I just wonder, what is the fallback if...
So we've done quite a lot of testing on this. We don't believe that there will be a problem. If you look at the documentation, this is the high level view. There is, if something does go wrong, you will get an error with a bunch of information. And as per the documentation, we ask you to give us both the error code, the information on the error, and to raise a ticket.
Right, because
okay,
you know the first people they're going to come to in that situation, don't you?
So, no.
Well, they're going to come through support.
Well, yes,
so
of course.
we need to know what options are there for us when somebody says, we've done this, we're at this point, we're not seeing what we expect to see. We need the options in front of us in that, in case of that outcome.
Yeah, there are a number. All we need to know is the tenant, any error message, and the information on the support ticket, and then the R&D team will actually look into that tenant to actually find out if anything has gone wrong.
Okay, that's fine. I'm happy with that, as long as we know.
Yeah, I mean, what we can do is we can actually set up a one-on-one with R&D and global support, if you like, Robert.
That would be, anything like that's beneficial to us.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. I can see another question was about how will the performance of the delete measurement by ID API be compared to the old implementation. So Arne, we haven't actually started that work yet. We would want it to be at least comparable. Yeah. So when we actually do that work, we will, of course, let people know. And it might be worthwhile if any of you actually do specifically need delete by ID. Can you send me an email? It's jane.porter@cumulocity.com. And then what I can do is I can add you to that feature. And once we've actually done that and gone through the design, I can take you through the design and get you involved in what that will look like and what the performance is. That would be really helpful.
All right, great. It doesn't look like there are any other questions at this point.
Okay, then. So, as I said, if anybody thinks of anything else, please do let me know. Or if you'd actually like to set up a one-on-one call, happy to actually do that as well. Right, on to the next one. A small piece of work that we've done, but which we've been asked for quite a lot. The Notification v2 API has been out in the wild now for quite a while. And we've done some work, as alluded to by Aaron, and we've improved it by including operations in the tenant context. So this means that you can subscribe to all operations for the tenant. What this does mean, guys, is that if you aren't specifically listing the APIs, so if you've got a blank or an asterisk for a wildcard indicator, your application will automatically get operations. So they need to be able to handle operations, or otherwise you need to make a slight change and put in specific APIs. In addition, we've enhanced situations so you no longer have to create a type filter when you're subscribing to events. So we continually look at the Notification v2 API, and even when we're doing large pieces of work like the MQTT service, which I'm about to talk about, we try and do a steady series of updates on it. So if anybody's got anything specific they would like to see on the Notification API, do please let me know. Right, so the next piece is, well, it's sort of forward-looking, really. It's been sort of the widest publicized forward-looking piece of function that we've been doing for quite a while. MQTT service. Very quick overview. We've done this a number of times. We've had this in public preview now for just over 6 months. Thank you very much to some of our customers who have participated in that and taken the time and the effort to give us feedback on their experience. The reason why we've done it is so that the MQTT devices can connect to Cumulocity without having to have the ability to talk in the canonical format for Cumulocity. So you can just send any data you like. There's absolutely no limit on what it is at all. It also means that you don't need to have a device agent, which not only can be costly to create, but is also costly to keep up to date. It improves the scalability because it's not part of the core of Cumulocity, so we can independently scale. And as I've said, no need to implement the SmartREST. So the private preview has, as I said, been running for a while. And what we're now looking forward to is what we're going to do for the public preview, which we are going to launch in this quarter. So in the private preview, we had just standard authentication, no certificate-based authentication. We've got MQTT 3.11. We can use version 5 if you need to. We haven't got any specific features from 5 yet. What we're seeing from RFPs is that this is still a bit of a tick box, but there's some funky stuff in MQTT version 5 that I have no doubt we will end up making use of. You can have arbitrary client IDs and topics, and this is on a per tenant basis. I stress this, that at the moment, the data separation is done on a per tenant basis. So I'm very keen to talk to people who want to run multiple customers in one tenant, separated out by role-based access control or access control lists. We're trying to understand at what level of granularity do we need to take that data separation down to within the tenant. And of course, you've got a free topic structure. So we don't make, at the moment, any indication of what you actually need to have as your topic names or what your topic structure needs to look like. And the payloads are completely arbitrary. So for the public preview, we're going to add to that. It's going to be TLS only in the SaaS environments, folks. You're going to be able to use certificate-based authentication. And we've also got monitoring and management. A key piece here is so that you can actually see your topics, your consumers, and remove any consumers that aren't consuming, because that will fill up your topic space and bring the whole thing to a grinding halt. What about MQTT SN service? Any interest for having such service for constrained devices? MQTT SN, it's an interesting one. That's not been very well taken up at all in the MQTT environment. We have no plans at the moment to support MQTT SN. But that doesn't mean to say we won't ever. It's just that it's not on our radar at the moment. If anybody has a specific use case for that, then again, please do let me know. So moving forward then. So once your data is in Cumulocity, how do you get it into that canonical format? So payload mapping is the responsibility of the application, but this time you're able to do it server-side rather than client-side. So you don't have to do it individually for each device if each device has got a slightly different way of doing things. We recommend a custom mapping microservice. Now, this actually links into another area that my colleague Nick Van Dam is looking at as well, which is about data preparation. So data preparation and this data mapping are quite closely linked. So if anybody has got any use cases that they would like to discuss with us around that area, please do get in touch with either myself or Nick. We would be very keen to talk to you. You can do the payload mapping either using standard REST or the notification v2. And there's an open source dynamic mapper. Thank you very much indeed to the guys that actually wrote that. They've done a lot of work. That was included in the private preview. And it works very well with the MQTT service. And that's a good way, a good initial way of doing that data mapping. There's a lot of user documentation, and I've included links here to that documentation, as well as the examples that we've got on how to use the MQTT service Java API. So any questions around the around what I've just said about the MQTT service? Okay, so the last piece then about what we have in the future is ultimately this will replace the MQTT service we have in the core. It's going to be a while, but we hope to get to the point where you'll have a single MQTT endpoint that you can send everything over, be it SmartREST, your own custom payloads or JSON. Until that point, the two MQTT implementations will be available in parallel. So there'll be no change to your existing devices. They will work exactly as they do now. As I said, any feedback, any use cases, anything that you would like to see us prioritize, please do let me know. So reach out to either myself or to Scott Mitchell. Okay, and with that, I will hand over to Nick Van Dam, who will take you through analytics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jane, for that segue. So as we now have the data into the platform, thanks to the device management, and we've worked on it with in data management, what else can we do on top of the data that you have in Cumulocity? So one of the new capabilities that I want to highlight to you today is a new block to calculate OEE within Analytics Builder. So OEE, or overall equipment effectiveness, is a metric which is frequently used for measuring the efficiency and performance of processes. And that's typically broken down in three components: availability, performance, and quality, which can be calculated separately and then combined give you a score on how effective your equipments are performing. So previously, with Analytics Builder, you could already do those kinds of calculations, but it would require a combination of a sizable number of blocks. For those of you, for longer-term customers, might remember a standalone Cumulocity OEE app, which had also its fair share of limitations. So what we're wanting to introduce now is an enhanced approach and also an extensible approach that better aligns with our platform capabilities. So the core calculation of what some of you might used to know from the OEE app is now really being made available as an OEE block for Analytics Builder. And it's also made available as an open source block. So because it's really integrated within Analytics Builder, you could also now really create fully customized OEE calculations. Because with Analytics Builder, you have, of course, the freedom to use any kind of pre-existing blocks already to do pre-processing of your raw data, to send it into the OEE calculation block, do maybe some post-processing, etc., send it into a measurement, and then you have those measurements available to do whatever you want with it in the platform. So think about adding it into your asset hierarchies with Digital Twin Manager. Because it's a measurement, you could easily visualize it in cockpits, in dashboards, in cockpit, as well as basically do anything that you could do within Cumulocity based on a measurement. Like I said, the OEE block is open source, so as a developer, you can also modify it, enhance it to meet your specific requirements for OEE calculation. Of course, OEE is just one single example of an interesting performance metric that can be calculated and might or might not really apply to your specific use case. What I would advise you is to also check out our Cumulocity YouTube channel, because there you can find some more examples how to use Analytics Builder for calculating these kind of metrics and others like utilization rate, etc. So really interesting to check it out. Then another noteworthy improvement, be it mostly for self-hosted customers with a large number of tenants, is that we're now introducing multi-tenancy for Analytics Builder. So previously, those customers were required to provide single tenant versions of the streaming analytics microservice for each of those subtenants, as you would see from the scenario 3 here on the picture on the right. Now, with the multi-tenant streaming analytics service, which now also includes Analytics Builder, this restriction has lifted. So self-hosted customers no longer need to have separate resources on the subtenants, resulting in hosting cost reductions for them, while of course maintaining security and performance for all of the model executions. In line with my fellow product managers, I also want to shed some light on interesting upcoming items in our analytics development pipeline. And first of all, I want to highlight that continuing on the private previews that Jane mentioned on the notification 2, streaming analytics will also be adopting that notification 2 for reliable data forwarding to receive update notifications on new measurements, events, etc. It will also leverage an internal mechanism for state persistence to ensure that no state, and hence in combination with the notification 2, no intermediate incoming messages get lost due to a sudden restart of the streaming analytics microservice. So a lot of improvements in resiliency coming towards streaming analytics. And secondly, and I think most excitingly, is I want to pave the path for an exciting upcoming capability, which we would call analytics rules. Most of you know probably smart rules, and the reason why I say it is, in general, we see, let's say, roughly 70% of our customers adopting smart rules, which highlighted to us that the value of configuration-driven analytics for business users. However, we also hear your feedback, and the current system of smart rules has some limitations because you're confined to that set of 11 rules. Not all of them are as applicable to all of your use cases, and you can only create those smart rules from within Cockpit. So basically those restrictions limit, in essence, the potential value that your business users can extract from analytics. So with analytics rules, we want to overcome some of those limitations by enabling your power users to define and customize models that are perfectly tailored to your organization needs. So basically what they can do is build on top. So you can start from the existing models, you can tweak them, make enhanced versions available to business users, but also next to that, really create entirely new models beyond that fixed library, which you can then tailor specifically to the use cases of your customers or your internal teams. And then those, the business users from your customers or your internal teams can then apply those predefined rules to specific assets, all from within their existing workflows. Because that's really the idea, where today it's limited to Cockpit. We envision those analytics rules to be used within any application. For example, in device management, to easily apply, let's say, health score calculations or anomaly detection on certain devices, or within Digital Twin Manager, where you can do additional calculations on top, for example, like OEE, but also others immediately within Digital Twin Manager on the assets that you're defining. So very exciting thing that we're looking forward to introduce. And with that, I'm already at the end of the analytics section. So I'm not sure whether there are any particular questions related to analytics. Or if not, then I will give the stage to Rahul.
Thanks, Nick. Hi, everyone. I'm Rahul Talreja. I'm product manager for IoT applications. And now I will be taking you through the innovation we have been doing in the application enablement section. So the first few enhancements which we have done are all around alarm management. So the alarm views is a very important functionality of our platform. Our customers utilizes the alarm views to look into the alarm across their fleets, and that's very crucial for their operational success. And during our feedback sessions with customers, they, with the operational leads and as well as the field experts, they highlighted the need of enhanced filtering so that they can specifically identify certain alarms which occurred at a specific time and are of specific type. And with this, we have now enhanced the alarm view on our platform, and we have introduced new filter options. Let me actually take you through that live. So previously, if you had navigated to the alarms view on our platform, you would have only noticed the filter available here on the basis of the severity of the alarm and also the status of the alarm. From the current release onwards, you will be also able to see a filter option where you can select the from and the to date of the alarm. Apart from the date filtering, we have also enabled the type filtering over here. This will allow you to specifically select the type of alarms you are looking for and also navigate to the specific date for which you are interested in. This will help you to navigate to those alarms and easily take the required actions to solve them. Apart from making these enhancements, we have also done the same enhancement in the alarm list widget. If you notice, in the new alarm list widget, we have added the option of adding in date selection to the alarm widget. This was not previously available. Now you can either provide an option using which you can enable the date filter on the alarm list widget itself, or you can link it to the dashboard context. So we had also enabled a global time context across dashboards a few versions ago, and now the alarm list widgets have also alarm list widget has been also made compatible with that. Once selected, you will be able to also now filter out the alarms for specific time. For an example, I can easily navigate to last hour or last day. Previously, this was not possible. Now, while also making these changes, you can notice the same time is also getting reflected in the other widgets. So if I navigate to any another time, the same data is also getting updated in the other widgets. This makes it very easy for our customers to navigate to the specific device and then navigate to the specific time range for which they are interested and check the occurrence of the type of alarms they are interested into. And apart from this, we have also introduced a new functionality, user notifications. So I'll be actually showing this live, but as a note over here, this functionality is currently available as a private preview. And if you like this, I believe definitely you will. So in that case, you can reach out to your CSM for getting the an access to this functionality, or you can also directly reach out to me. Until now, on our platform, users have multiple ways of creating alarm notifications. For an example, you can set up smart rules, or you can set up some global smart rules, which allows you to establish email notifications. But for end customers, this is sometimes not that easy. And apart from this, there is no easy way for them to disable certain notifications very easily. And hence, we are now providing a new functionality called user notifications in a private preview. When you now visit to any alarm, you will be able to notice a new button, watch alarm. The end users, you can simply click on the watch alarm, and using this, they can try monitoring the similar type of alarms, and they can easily receive notifications from them. They can select the severity of the alarm for which they wish to receive the notification. And not only that, they can also edit their subscriptions directly from the view. The alarms which are being, let's say, subscribed for the notifications are also appears with this icon where they can easily see that this alarm is being watched. Apart from this, they can also set up notifications from the scratch. You can subscribe these alarms directly on an asset level or in group level, and you can highlight the alarm types you are interested in subscribing. After doing that, you can also select the severity of the alarm for which you would like to receive this notification and then confirm the selection. Not only doing the subscriptions have made easy, you can also navigate to your user settings and then navigate to email notifications. This centralized sections helps the customers to view the notifications which they have subscribed, and they can very easily enable or disable any of them in a single click. They can also delete any of the existing notifications, or they can again start the flow and subscribe to new notifications from here. This makes it very easy for them to manage their end-to-end notification flow and see the list of notifications which they have subscribed. As a part of ongoing effort, we have been migrating features of our platform from AngularJS to Angular. While doing these migrations, we have been also considering the feedback from the users across the sections we generally migrate. This time, we have migrated data points table widget. While migrating the data points table widget, we have improved the performance of that, but as well as consider the feedback you had provided us in past. Let's try that out. The look and feel of the widget has been enhanced over here, while also increasing the configuration options. In the previous widget, you would have noticed that if you had a number which was which had, let's say, 5 or 6 decimal places, we were displaying all of them. And the new release, you can actually limit the decimal places in your table widget. Apart from this, we have also made the widget very compatible with the mobile screens. In the previous widget, if you reduce the size of the widget, it used to get cluttered. In the latest widget, if you try to reduce the size of the widget, it's very let's say looks very good on the mobile as well, and it's readable with all the data points which you have selected over here. In the coming release, we will be also enhancing the same data point table widget with an export component. We have already introduced an export component on our codex. Using this, you can select. So this is actually an example of the component, how you can use the component. The component will have an export button on the top right of the widget, using which you will be able to get a pop-up like this and select the export configuration. You can very easily select the type of export you would like to create. If you select the compact mode, you will be able to export the up to 5,000 data points which are visible on the screen of the widget. If you select the full mode, you will be able to define, let's say, more date range, and you will be able to export up to 1 million data points into the file. You can then select the format which you require, either CSV and XML, and export the file. As of now, this is already available as a component in our codex, and you can use this component to create your own widget. In the coming month, this will be the same component will be integrated into the data point table widget, and you will be able to use it out of the box. In future, the same component will be also integrated into other relevant widgets, and then it will make it much easier for users to export the data they are visualizing and use it for further analysis. In the last quarter, we had announced that we have introduced official plugins. So we had introduced 2 official plugins in the last quarter. One was Add Asset. This makes it very easy for customers to use this plugin in their custom applications and directly add assets from their applications. Similarly, we had introduced a subasset module using which you can view your assets in your own application. So these were made available in the last quarter. In the current quarter, we have now made the third plugin available over here, which is the asset properties widget. This is a public preview of the widget. So this means that you can, as of now, use this widget in your applications, but very soon this will be replacing the existing properties widget in the cockpit application. Let's look at the live widget. So previously, this widget was more focused on the devices, and this was not having the capability of identifying the context of an asset. As we have introduced Digital Twin Manager a few years ago, we have now also upgraded the widget and made it more aware of the asset it has selected. So it now displays the linked properties to the asset. And if you try to select the properties for device, then it tries to identify the fixed properties of the device. Apart from solving the selection problem, we have also enhanced the look and feel of the widget. And apart from that, now the new widget is also able to process images, so you can easily view the images. So you can assign the images of your assets, the logo of companies, or you can also put the like the photos of your equipment. Apart from this, this also now supports the new property type file. So with Digital Twin Manager, we had also enabled the capability of property type file. And now if you have uploaded a file type over there, you can simply click on that and download it from here. This really helps the users to also provide access to manuals or other documents to their customers from the IoT dashboard itself. This also has a better capability for editing the location of the asset. So in the previous widget, you could only enter the locations manually. In this, the new widget, if you try to edit any widget, you can simply directly select the point on the map and then save this one. So you can already start using this widget in your applications right away. And in the coming month, this will be replacing the existing default widget available in Cockpit application. So now another very important topic. So until today, we allowed our users to define their schema using our existing APIs, but we didn't had any dedicated APIs for managing schema. In the upcoming release, we will be also introducing dedicated APIs over here. So we will be introducing Digital Twin Definitions API, which will mark one significant enhancements in managing your schemas on Cumulocity. So these improved APIs will help our developers in streamlining their schema creation and management. Users will be able to utilize these schemas to bring context to the custom applications they are building. They can use this to automate the creation and management of their schema. Apart from the comprehensive schema management capabilities, this will also covers the enterprise Git functionalities over here, such as that you will be also able to create your schema from the management tenant and then use that schema across your tenants. So for an example, if you define your asset model on one of your enterprise tenant, you can utilize that across the tenants which you have. And with this, we will be also enhancing, providing capabilities such as versioning and many others. So in case if you would like to take the early access of these APIs, please feel free to reach out to your CSMs, or also you can directly reach out to me. This will be the base which we will be utilizing in upcoming quarters to deliver many other functionalities. For an example, we will be utilizing this to provide enhanced dashboarding capabilities, such as enabling the dashboard templates for asset models, utilizing this to help us query data across the asset hierarchies, utilizing this to deliver copy paste of dashboards. So this will be the base service which will be helping us to deliver such innovative features to you. And apart from these enhancements, we continuously deliver many small improvements. So we continuously keep interacting with our customers, and the feedback which we receive, we utilize to improve the functionalities which we have on our platform. For an example, in the last quarter, we had also introduced a new branding manager. If you have not seen that, you on our YouTube channel, you will be able to find out playlist which consist information or let's say the videos for the what's new training for the previous quarters. You can also go through that once again. So in this release, we have made some enhancements based on your feedback. For an example, if I now in the new branding manager, we have now also added a functionality for providing some messages to your customers via banner. So this banner, which is appearing on this application, is specifically the part of the branding of this specific application. So now you can introduce such messages to your customer. And by the way, this is a real notification which is applicable to all the Cumulocity tenants. So there is actually a really scheduled maintenance on Feb 5th. So you can similarly provide this information to your customers using this feature in the branding manager. And similarly, we have also made some enhancements to the dashboard manager. So in the configuration section, we had the app configuration section where you can enable, disable features for your customers. We have now also added an option of disabling the dashboard manager. I think yes. So you can now enable disable the dashboard manager. So such smaller function improvements which we have done is based on the customer feedbacks which we have received. Apart from this, we had also made many enhancements to our dashboarding capabilities in the last quarter, and we have made many smaller enhancements on this one. To read the full list of changes, I will request you to go through the change log. Coming to the last section around the developer experience. We have recently enhanced our platform and migrated to the latest Angular 18 upgrade. This doesn't bring any visible changes for the customers, but this helps us to keep the platform on the latest technology framework. And you can utilize this to also upgrade your custom applications and widgets which you have developed and bring them to the latest framework. To get some guidance around how you can upgrade your custom applications, you can look into our documentation. So I have put a QR code at the bottom left. You can scan that and reach the specific guidance around upgrading from 17 to 18. And one last update from my side. So we have a Cumulocity codex. This can be utilized by the customers who are developing custom applications on top of Cumulocity. We provide a lot of guidance to our customers over here by putting out components, putting out icons, utilities, guidance, and we keep updating it very regularly. For an example, I had just shown you the export component some time back. Apart from this, in this release, we have also added detailed guide around hooks. You can use the hooks and bring out functionalities into your custom applications, and it makes it much fun to develop on Cumulocity. And not only this, you can also use the components which we provide over here. For example, very recently, we put a countdown component into our codex. So this countdown was added into most of the widgets in the last few quarters, and now it's also available as a component for you to use. So do check out the Cumulocity codex. I would now like to hand over to Nick.
Thank you, Rahul. I hope you can hear me. Awesome. Hey everyone, my name is Nick Panamar and I'm a product manager overseeing microservice hosting, product infrastructure and edge areas. Today I'm excited to dive into a couple of developer-focused topics in Cumulocity. So let's get started and explore some opportunities on how to enhance your developer experience. So the first one is the latest microservice SDK version release. We are aligning with the modern Java standards and ensuring long-term support of the microservices and updating that to the Spring Boot 3.3, which enhances overall reliability and reduces vulnerabilities of the microservices. So with these improvements, we're setting the foundation for more resilient and efficient and future-ready microservices that you develop. And speaking about the microservices, some upcoming changes that I wanted to talk about today are the OTLP-based microservice monitoring. So we want to address a couple of pain points, especially how to differentiate different logs from multiple instances of the same microservice, some lack of visibility into Kubernetes events that occur, things like out of memory restarts, or basically things that kill your microservices and make the troubleshooting difficult. So we want to, and that's where the team is currently working on. We want to introduce OTLP-based, push-based log forwarding that would ensure that all the metrics are automatically pushed instead of pulled, and introducing some easy integration with SaaS log platforms like Prometheus, Grafana, Datadog, etc. Another news that I wanted to share with you is our Cumulocity Edge installer approach. So previously we offered Edge Appliance VM, which was tied to a specific operation system, Rocky Linux. While it worked out well, it introduced limitations. So with Edge installer approach, we want to give you flexibility to install on wider range of Linux distributions. So removing this OS dependency, allowing you the freedom to choose your own virtualization software that fits your infrastructure, your workflows, maybe workflows of your customers that you deliver it to, and then the customization. Obviously, every solution is tailored case-specific solution, so you are now empowered to create your own images and match your deployment needs. And speaking about developer experience, part of it is obviously our tech community. So I'm excited to introduce that tech community has been successfully migrated. It's now live, and it's the perfect time to collaborate and share your knowledge there on Cumulocity. Because right now we have IoT Community Awards 2025. There are really cool prizes. I'm hoping myself and posting content there, so it's the perfect time to engage there and sign up if you haven't signed up yet. It's, by the way, it's not only developer focused, it's for everyone who is interested in Cumulocity. So with that, I want to say thank you for your participation in this webinar, and I want you to take a moment and leave us some feedback. You will see, or you have seen already probably some pop-up with the survey. Alex, please help me if the users do see it.
You all see the survey has popped up in the chat section. So again, just on behalf of the entire PM team, we thank you so much for your attendance today and the great questions and engagement. And any feedback you can offer is very helpful. We want to make sure these sessions are as useful for you all as possible. So just to close things out again, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to doing the next one of these in April sometime. So look out for the invitations for that as well. And thank you all very much.